There's a strong argument to be made that the 2015 Rugby World Cup was the best there's ever been. It was full of moments like Japan beating South Africa for the Hesketh try, like Beauden Barrett scoring the winner at the end, like Dan Biggar doing this, which I enjoyed a lot. And this I enjoyed this a lot. Lloyd Williams and Gareth Davis doing this, I enjoyed this a lot as well. At the end of the day, the Rugby World Cup is made by moments. Some moments are much celebrated, like the ones I just mentioned. Some moments were not so much, like me playing touch against a group of Argentine fans right after the game against Namibia. That wasn't celebrated because no one was there. The following moments were broadcast just the same as every other minute in the tournament, and yet no one talks about them. So I'm not going to include Japan beating South Africa. I'm not going to include any of the big moments you might think of, you might remember. I want to talk about the alternative top 5 moments of the 2015 Rugby World Cup.
Shut up, Japan. We get it. You beat South Africa. You know how many people have beaten South Africa? Like a bunch. Like Scotland did it, Italy, Wales, even when they were shit, when they weren't the number 1 team in the world. The New Zealand Cavaliers, I've got no idea who they are, but Wikipedia tells me they've beaten South Africa. There were other tier 2 nation triumphs at the World Cup that deserved some spotlight. Okay, Japan, you should stop hogging it. Look how happy Uruguay's 2 tries against Fiji made them. It's adorable. I was in the Millennium Stadium when Georgia scored to go level against the All Blacks, and it beat out almost every Wales try I've been there for sheer spirit of the game atmosphere. Romania's late comeback against Canada, thanks to their 2 really, really good players, was a very dry thrill, with Mihai Makovei scoring 2 tries and Florian Vecu nailing this very tricky kick. And then look at coach Phil Davis' reaction as Namibia's Johan Dazel scored against the All Blacks. Admittedly, his time with the Cardiff Blues suggests that he had such a poor understanding of rugby that he probably thought this try put Namibia in the lead, but I do love seeing someone so happy. The World Cup final featured one of the most beautifully audacious grace notes you'll see in rugby, as the rugby world's man crush on Dan Carter grew exponentially when he decided to take his final kick of Test rugby with his wrong foot. There's that same very simple joy in seeing how happy slotting it made Carter, and yet it was only the competition's second best closing conversion from a retiring legend. With moments to go in Leicester and hence in their World Cup campaign, Namibia's Ewan Evie scrambled a turnover and from the resulting break managed to make a try for Eugene Yankees. Namibia had no shot at winning the game, and so they turned to retiring 50-cap front rower Johnny Redlin Hayes, playing his final game for his country. Redlin Hayes said he had never taken a kick at goal in his life, but he decided to step up to the tee anyway just for the sheer bants of it. This was how he was going to close out his career. He missed, of course, falling short of the bar in the kind of way spectators in Leicester would have to get used to over the coming years, but Redlin Hayes loved it. He might have a 0% kick accuracy, but he was now a Rugby World Cup goal kicker. Carter, Wilkinson, Montgomery, Flatley, Jenkins, Fox, Stransky, Redlin Hayes. No front rower has ever scored a conversion in a Rugby World Cup match before, but Redlin Hayes officially became the closest any prop has ever got. A legend of the game in his country already, but for the duration of one conversion attempt, he was a hero to front rowers everywhere. Some called him the romantic Romanian, and whilst that use of the definitive article might seem somewhat harsh until you reflect on the individuals the country is famous for, there was something wholly wonderful about the way in which their starting scrum half, Florian Sărăgiu, single-handedly redefined masculinity during the 2015 tournament. Romania played 4 games in this World Cup, and Florian Sărăgiu cried on the pitch in 3 of them. Once, because he was playing for his country in a World Cup, in front of thousands and thousands of people. Once, because they just won a game that nobody gave them a chance of. And once, because after full time was blown, he proposed to his girlfriend on the Wembley pitch in front of a record crowd for a Rugby World Cup match. Sărăgiu was faced with 3 emotional moments. And you know what he did? He cried. It's very easy to do what we as men are told to do our entire lives and shove emotion down, not anything come to the surface unless it's aggression or a very limited amount of pride. But Sărăgiu let it all show on his face. These are proper, naked, snot-infested tears, the kind I only let myself cry once a year when I put in It's a Wonderful Life. And it's so wonderful to see someone at an event as superficially macho as the Rugby World Cup not feel the need to suck them up back into his face as the reductive Piers Morgan types tell us we have to. This World Cup saw men willing to stand in the way of Billy Vanapola, people run straight at Richie McCaw, people show their faces whilst playing for France, and yet nothing anybody did was nearly as brave or worthy of applause as Suraju being so open, so emotional, and so willing to cry and let everyone know how much things meant to him. But for being man enough to cry in front of 85,000 people, all his teammates and a camera crew, I can't give Suraju enough credit or love for just being so himself for the entire duration of his time out in England. Just as the thought of points made Redland Hayes almost explode, the opening weekend of the World Cup was a proud moment for two more heavy-set men who didn't show it. In Cardiff, Wales recalled tighthead Samson Lee, the tangerine dreamboat on his way back from a lengthy injury. And in London, Nicolas Mas was running out for France in a match that, for him, broke the kind of record that nobody wants. The most test matches without scoring a try. In this regard, him and Samson Lee had a lot to not talk about, as Lee had never scored a try in his life. Not just a try for Wales, not just a try in professional rugby, but according to his family, Samson Lee had never once, in any competitive 15-a-side match, scored a single try. His last try of any kind was when he was 13. The two men with the furthest odds of scoring, and yet, inside a few hours of each other, both had scored their first try for their country. Lee off the back of a maul, and Mas was showing a weirdly great finish to understand that the base of the post counts as a try and going right for that. Best bit is though, both of them just got back up, got on with it, barely a smile in sight, as though their first ever 5-pointers were nothing of note. May this World Cup be equally blessed with front row miracles. Now, this is perhaps my favourite incidental moment in any World Cup match ever. Never mind the moments of drama or of breathtaking rugby of individuals playing with enormous testicles. This is as good as it gets. The game is Italy versus Romania at Sandy Park. In the end, it was a pretty fun game to watch. Plenty of things happened. Romania grabbed the Italian scrum and shoved it up the ghost of Castrogiovanni's arse. Allen and Campagnaro pulled some excellent attacking rugby. And then there was another moment that easily could have made this list, as Romania lock Johan van Heeren returned from a sin bin period and apologised to the referee for what he'd done. I'm sorry. However, the most notable point about this game was Romania pulling a comeback almost on par with their late rally against Canada. 2 tries by replacement wing Adrian Apostol, including this with a minute to go, thanks to a glorious pass by Vlaicu, who's a player we're really going to miss with Romania not being in this year's tournament. However, it was Romania's other try that I want to talk about. For Romania's other try, ladies and gentlemen, was the world's only ever accidental try. A penalty puts Romania right up the Italian line. Alessandro Zani gives away a penalty and an advantage is being played. Romania then drive a few times for a few phases. They get close to the line, including this shove by Valentin Popolan. Popolan drives to the line, he doesn't make it, so he goes to present the ball back, but he can't due to Italian infringement. So the referee, and definitely not coach, Romain Poit, calls play back for the penalty. Fair enough, Romania, I think. They make the decision and they opt for the line out. Vlaicu pops it in the corner, they begin setting for the line out, everything's playing as it normally would, when, out of nowhere, the TMO pipes up. Except he hasn't spotted foul play. Popolan, nor any of his teammates had called it, they hadn't even noticed. But just before presenting the ball back, Popolan had scored a try. He had, by accident, fluke, grounded the ball over the line without actually even trying to. Look at his reaction as the referee awards a try to 4 goals. It's elation, but it's also sheer surprise. For his name deserves to be eternally remembered in the annals of rugby history. Valentin Popolan, the scorer of the world's only ever accidental try. Hello again from Tokyo, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Those were 5 alternative moments from the last World Cup. I'm currently just lingering on a street corner, which incidentally, is exactly how I managed to afford the money to come to Tokyo in the first place. I am just dawdling around in circles, trying not to catch anyone's attention because I'm aware that talking on the phone is considered quite rude in the street in Japan. So I'm trying not to look like I'm doing that, which is exactly what I'm also trying to look like I'm doing, so it doesn't look like I'm just weirdly recording the end of a YouTube video from here. Otherwise, there are going to be 4 more videos coming in the next few days on each pool. I'm going to pick one player to watch from each pool, so keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.